Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to Illuminate Student Ministries. My name is Isaac Franks. I'm the student director here at Illuminate Student Ministries, and I'm here to give you lesson number 3 in our Ungrateful Eyes series. It's all about school topics, school ideas that are really difficult for us to live out. If you want to check out any of the earlier lessons, please do that on our YouTube. You can just go back, watch them. Those lessons will go right into this lesson, so there might be a couple things in this lesson that you might not follow because you didn't watch those, so go back and do that. The next couple lessons in this series are very practical. I have lists, I have steps. They're all really good things, so I would highly recommend you go ahead and grab a journal, grab a notebook, and grab a Bible, and we're going to jump into these. They're heavier topics, but there's a reason why we're going through them. I want to thank you for watching. If you're watching this as a member of the youth group, I would love to know because I don't really know. I'm not really sure if any of our youth group people watch this. So if you can please write in the comment, shoot me a text message, do something so I know that what I'm doing here is fruitful and I'm not just spending a couple hours, 2, 3, 4 hours doing this for no one. Thank you for watching. Let's jump into this week's lesson. Today we're talking about expectations. Have you ever had the expectation placed on you from parents to get a good grade? Now, if you've had that expectation, how many of you, that expectation was not just good grades, but straight A's? So let's take, for example, someone who might have the expectation that they need to get straight A's, whether that's you or not. Say you're in a class like math, and math is really not your thing. And so this is a difficult class for you. Not only is it just a math, it's like calculus 8. Difficult stuff. Now, does the expectation that has been placed on you to get all A's going into this difficult class, does that expectation fill you up and motivate you, give you a joyful sense of ease that, oh, I'm so glad to be here? Or does it fill you with dread and feels like 1,000 pounds on your shoulders? For some of us, good grades is a normal expectation. It's an expectation that can be met. Now, for some of us, especially me in college, sometimes especially straight A's, but sometimes good grades can be a little more tough. Maybe that is an unrealistic expectation placed on us. Moving away from grades, why don't you think of some other types of unrealistic expectations that maybe has been placed on you or that we place on other people? Maybe an unrealistic expectation might be someone's absolutely undivided attention to us. That would be unrealistic because that person cannot give their undivided attention to us. What do you feel when you know someone has placed an unrealistic expectation for you to meet? And not only that, but you know for a fact that you can't meet that expectation. What does that feel like? Because it generally doesn't feel very good. We know we're going to fail. Now, what also does it feel like when you have placed an expectation on yourself? Because we can do that too. What does it feel like when we have placed an unrealistic expectation on ourselves that we also know that we cannot meet? This is kind of like the New Year's resolution. Like, I can set an expectation on myself that I'm going to go to the gym and become super buff, and I know for a fact that I'm not doing that. These expectations can really weigh on our shoulders. They can really weigh on us as we try and do things. Now, I'm just going to be honest. A heavy expectation that is especially on me is for Illuminate Student Ministries, because I know that Illuminate Student Ministries can never be the same or meet up to specific expectations that Grace Worcester's youth group has, or the Naz's youth group has. These youth groups have a very high budget and 100 kids. I need to be very careful that I don't put our youth group side by side by their youth group and have an expectation on our youth group depending on that. Now, it's important for me not to do that, but I will confess that that is a struggle of mine. We all struggle with these expectations. What's so important is that we are able to recognize what these expectations are. So, like last week, I want to spend this evening to just show you the importance of being aware of things. Last week we talked about labels, and I really wanted to just hammer in the fact that it is so important that we recognize what names we call ourselves, because while we might think that this is a small thing, this has such lasting impacts and such negative impacts on us. Similarly, like that, this week we're talking about expectations, because I don't want you to think that this is just a small thing that we don't really need to care about. This is the expectations that we have on us is so important for us to learn, not only to identify, but how to deal with them. It's especially big when it comes to school, because everybody has expectations on us, and it can get so exhausting trying to carry all of them. In youth group this week, with the high schoolers, we listened to a song because, like I said, I'm a song person, so I love showing songs because it shows the raw emotion. It shows the reaction of the true reaction of our hearts in these concepts. I'm not going to show this song here this week, but if you want to listen to this song, it is the very famous, the very classic Let You Down by NF. This song on YouTube alone has like way over half a billion views. So this is a very popular song. This is an old song. I have a YouTube lyrics version on our channel, but you can find the song wherever. So if you want to check it out and kind of follow this concept of expectations and how important, how that weight of unfulfilled or unrealistic expectations, especially from parents, holds, go ahead and watch that video. Listen to that song and just feel the emotions, feel the weight that NF has because of those unrealistic expectations from his father. Before I say anything with expectations and defining things and whatever, I need to make clear that this lesson is not about learning how to defy or rebel against expectations that other people place on us. We're going to hit on this. This is like the main point. But our reaction to an unrealistic expectation is not to say no and then just rebel. Like that, we can't do that. And so let's fully define what an expectation is. An expectation is a strong belief that something will happen or be the case in the future. It's like what is most likely to happen. Everybody places expectations on everybody. I have an expectation of the students that come to youth group on Wednesday nights. It's called our expectations. It's called our house rules. It's called our values, what we want to make sure that we do every single week. And I want to just put that up on the screen right now to show you what these expectations are. My expectation for every student is that we follow this. For all of you, you have expectations that you put on me. Take a second and think about what those expectations are that you have placed on me. Probably that I'm going to teach you about expectations right now. Probably you're expecting me to be at youth group every week. Hopefully you're expecting me to find a biblical view of expectations and to give it. Now I want you to think of what expectations that you have placed on your family members. What expectations have you placed on your friends? What expectations do you have for teachers? You even have expectations for your dog. You have expectations on a door that when you open it, it's going to open. We are filled with expectations. Expectations are normal. You have expectations for the worker at Walmart. While there are so many expectations placed on us, these expectations are not all the same. I found 3 different types of expectations. And knowing what category our expectations fall into, I think is the key of how to manage them. So let's take a look at the first category of expectations. Now these expectations must be obeyed. There are expectations that if we don't meet these expectations. If we fail these expectations, you go to jail. You get kicked out of something. You might get expelled or suspended or detention if you don't meet these expectations. If you don't meet certain parental expectations, you're going to get grounded. Maybe there are some expectations where if you don't meet, someone could literally die. These expectations are usually placed on us from authority figures such as parents, teachers, principals, law, and hopefully these expectations are placed on us for our good. But we are also going to, in this category of expectations that must be met, we're gonna put God's expectations for us in here. Now, the second category of expectations are those expectations that are honoring to meet. In this category, this might be more of that expectation to get good grades. While it's not necessary for us to meet that expectation of good grades, it would be very honoring and pleasing to our parents if we were. While we might not have to clean our room, it would be very pleasing for our parents if we did. These are expectations that we don't have to meet. There is no law, there is no strong negative consequence for us failing to meet these. But these are expectations that is good for us to meet. We're talking serving people. We're talking friendliness. We're talking giving our best effort for things. We're talking hugs. We're talking thanks, giving thanks, saying thank you. There might not be forceful negative consequences for not meeting these, but they are good things for us to meet. And if we are Christian, then we should strive to meet these. I just want to put in a little bit of the unrealistic expectations in this category because there are some unrealistic expectations that we might place on ourselves, but other people could place on us that are good and that motivate us to grow into ways that we didn't realize that we could. This might be getting straight A's. We might not think that we can get straight A's because we're not that smart, but we might find that if we put in just a little extra work, we can. However, the unrealistic expectations that fall into the third category, the category of expectations of who we should be, are not good. These expectations are opinions. This is when people try and dictate who we are. Maybe they require or they expect us to do sports because they want us to be sports people, but we're not. This might be the expectation to get good grades because they want us to be a person who gets good grades, who is smart. We see this a lot with jobs in college, that you have to do these things. And if we don't meet these expectations, then that depends what our value is as a person, or as a person that relates to the other person, that person that has given the expectation. These expectations might be the amount of salary that you have, or the position that you work, your job position. This could even be interests, what interests you have, what hobbies you do. There might be a negative expectation placed on me because I have played Minecraft as a 24-year-old. That might be me failing a certain expectation that then affects my value. And these are expectations that we just can't pursue. Out of all of these, the one major thing that we need to keep in mind that we cannot lose is found in Galatians chapter 1, verse 10. Verse 10. It says, "Am I now trying to win the approval of men or of God? Or am I trying to please men? If I were still trying to please men, I would not be a servant of Christ." This is us going back to what we talked about in the very first week of what does this have to do with our relationship with God. When we look at all of the expectations placed on us, we don't, or we shouldn't, try to live up to any expectation, especially unrealistic expectations of others who determine our value, because God has determined our value. We have to learn what God expects from us, which is to love, and to love God, love others, and to put in effort to grow that relationship. And if someone's expectation on us contradicts or goes against God's expectation or God desires for us, that we simply cannot do. If we do that, that is going to negatively affect our relationship with God. And if we believe those expectations that have been placed on us, and then we're striving to meet those more than God's, there's no way that doesn't affect our relationship with God. We are choosing to serve man. We are choosing to love God less than people. With that, how do we manage all of the expectations that's been placed on us by everybody, including ourselves, including God's? Well, first, we manage it by prioritizing which expectations we need to meet first, and which ones are honoring and which ones we cannot. This is kind of a clear layout of how we prioritize, and we're kind of adding God's expectations above even the authority expectation. We have to recognize what the expectations are that's been placed on us. We can't list them if we don't know what they are. But it's also really important in this part of the process to try and recognize what expectations we have placed on the people that are closer to us. Are these expectations realistic? Are they godly? Are they even appropriate for the type of relationship? Maybe that's a sibling relationship or a romantic relationship, a parental relationship, a friend. Are these expectations even appropriate for the type of relationship that we have? The second step in managing expectations is to communicate on unrealistic expectations, and this is by far the hardest to do. This is so incredibly scary, especially if it comes from an authoritative figure. Maybe you don't really have what it takes to express it, to talk to them. And that's okay. It's going to weigh on you still. However, what's the most important thing out of everything that we've talked about is what I said at the beginning, is that what you cannot do is to react in rebellion, to react in gossip, to react in slander, to hate, or do anything that is unloving to or about or from that person who has placed the unrealistic expectation on us. I'm going to come back to this theme, but you cannot repay evil for evil. That is not right in God's eyes. And we will be held responsible for every single thing that we do, no matter the reason. So we communicate for an unrealistic expectation if we can. If we can't, then we just need to make sure that we don't react negatively. A third thing that you can do in this process of managing expectations is to start doing a spiritual practice called self-examine. This is when we ask specific questions in the presence of God, in the presence of His Spirit, such as, what happened today that didn't quite go to plan? Or maybe what happened today that caused issues? Why? Was it my fault? Could I have loved better? Or was it an unrealistic expectation that I failed to meet? Or was it because I put an unrealistic expectation on someone and they failed to meet it? To be able to go back through your day or through your week and kind of look at these high and low points of our week and to see what expectations had to do about it. The final thing that I'm going to leave you with is that we pray for wisdom. God can 100% help you meet, manage, confront, do anything with these expectations. But the key is that we have to go to Him. He can't do anything. He can't teach us if we don't put our eyes on Him and focus on Him. Thank you so much for watching. Next week is a really, really important and big week, and that has to do with a topic, which is dating. Now, I already wrote the lesson, and so I am just so incredibly excited and anxious and nervous for this lesson. It's going to be so good. Hopefully you think the same. I'm really hoping, even though it's the fair week, that we pack out the student center as we talk about this really important topic for for middle schoolers and high schoolers, and really the weight that this topic has in our culture. So if you can, or if you can figure out a way to be at youth group next week, I would really, really, really encourage you to do so. And I would love to see you there so that we can talk about this topic. Once again, I thank you for watching, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.